Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Sense of Place. My name is Nico Caragosian. I serve as the CEO of the Ohio University Foundation and Vice President of University Advancement. We're very grateful that you're joining us today. We're going to give it a couple more minutes. I see participants are joining our event. If you have a moment, if you'd like to pop a note in the chat, let us know who you are, where you're joining us from, if you're an alum, when you graduated, college, major, any sort of information you'd like to share with us. We look forward to starting here in a couple minutes. Okay, I see folks are starting to populate the chat. So the chat is going to be open the entire time during this virtual event. Feel free to ask questions. I can't see it, but we do have staff that are monitoring that chat. So if you have a question or a comment or something that you want us to share broadly with the group, please feel free to put it in the chat, and I'll get a message and be able to ask one of our panelists or answer it myself. I think we'll get started now. I see our participant numbers. And there's Ross Blake, who I think Ross has joined us at every Sense of Place event that we've had since this kicked off last year. So good to see you, Ross, Julie, Michael. Thanks again for joining us. This is Ohio Sense of Place, Alden Library. I'm thinking this is about probably, I don't know, Jackie Weber, how many of these now have we done? I probably should have known that before we started.
That's a great question.
At least six. Yeah, I was going to say 8 or 10. So yeah, so this is something that kind of came from when COVID hit last year. We wanted to find a way to keep people connected to what was happening on campus, and we looked at different places that we thought would be meaningful to folks. And we've done the Ridges, we've done residence halls, we've done College Green, we've done the Convo, and today we're doing Alden Library. So really excited for this conversation, and again, would love to see any chats or messages about your experience with Alden Library and what it's meant to you. It is homecoming week here in Athens, so happy homecoming week to all our Bobcats near and far. So we have a wonderful week of activities that are scheduled. It's a little bit back to normal. So last year was obviously a very different year for homecoming with the virtual events and activities, and just obviously not the same last year. So we're glad that things are kind of back to normal here. We'll be doing a combination of virtual and in-person events. So if you're not able to come back to campus and join the festivities, there are some activities that you can participate in virtually, and really looking forward to welcoming our Bobcats and their families back to campus here all week. So I'd like to introduce our panelists who are joining us today, and we really have a great group that I think can bring a wonderful perspective of Alden Library and how it's affected them, and how it's been part of them and their work as a faculty member or a student. So I will let them, as we go later into the program, talk a little bit more about their background and their connection to Alden Library, but I just wanted to quickly introduce our panelists, starting with Ohio University's Dean of University Libraries, Dr. Neil Romanowski. Hello, Neil. Janet Carlton, who serves as our Digital Innovations Coordinator. Hello, Janet. Faustina Mensah, who is an Ohio University doctoral student. Hello, Faustina. Thanks for joining us. Ann Fiddler, who serves as the Scholar in Residence at the Mann Center for Archives and Special Collections. Hello, Ann. And Natasha Simons, an undergraduate student and one of the library student staff members. So thank you all for joining us today. And as I mentioned, once we get into the program a little bit, you'll hear more from them directly, as well as what they do and their connection to Alden Library. So again, please, I see there's more activity there in the chat. Please feel free to continue to participate and add anything in there that you'd like. John Rogers has given a link to our homecoming activities. So when this is done, please be sure to click on that and join us for either an in-person or virtual activity. So I know Alden Library is a special place here on campus. I always remember it as my first day. I started back in February of 2018. At the time, Dr. Dwayne Nellis was the president of the university. And I remember parking next to Dr. Nellis and actually walking through Alden Library on my first day to get to where my office is. And believe it or not, Dr. Nellis actually walked me to my office, which I think is probably not something typical of many university presidents being willing to do that. But I remember going into the library, going up a level, and then coming out right behind Cutler Hall and walking over to my office in McGuffey. I have two daughters that are at OU. I have a senior and a freshman, and the senior has spent many nights and days at the library, and it's just a special place on campus. And I think kind of the location being right in the middle of campus, and then being that pass through, it's really just a wonderful place. I know I have twin daughters who are going to turn 10 tomorrow. They also love going to the library with their big sisters. It just has that feeling, and it's just an important part of who we are as a university, and just a special place. So with that, I would like to share a video that our University Communications and Marketing team has put together about Alden Library, and glad to share that with this entire group. And after that video, we will come back and begin talking to our panelists. So I will hand that off to you, Jackie. Thank you.
Vernon R. Alden Library is an invaluable resource to the Ohio University and Athens communities. Opened in May of 1969 and named after the 15th president of Ohio University, it is hard to overlook the size, scope, and grandeur of the building. President Alden, who passed away in 2020, served the university from 1962 to 1969, fulfilling a promise to lead Ohio to new frontiers of excellence and prominence. As you approach the library's south end, you walk through the bustle and thrum of Park Place, with students coming to and from class, past Baker Center, or sitting peacefully on the grassy median. The north side of Alden is 2 stories higher and faces College Green along an iconic brick walkway. This vista includes the reflective and scenic Wolf Garden, most notable for the striking bronze sculpture titled The American Woman, created by alumnus David L. Hofstetler and donated by alumna Jeanette Garcelli Brown. Although the Athens campus has included a library since 1814, the growth of the university required larger and more accessible buildings throughout its history. Carnegie Library was built as Ohio University's original library in 1904. Some may remember the Edwin Watts Chubb Library, which replaced Carnegie Library and provided learning services and materials to students from 1931 until 1969, when Alden Library opened. Alden Library's continued improvements provide an innovative learning and study space for Ohio students. Using a dedicated phone line, Alden was the first library in the world to generate an electronic library record. East and west wings were added to the upper floors in 1972. The Alice Online Catalog launched in 1983, and in 2004, the library's Learning Commons was opened, providing a restructured space for student-oriented and technology-rich environments. With more than 3 million volumes of books, ebooks, databases, and photographs, a dedicated staff, and a strong commitment to service, Alden Library is the ideal space for students to connect, study, and research. The first 4 floors feature group study spaces and reservable study rooms, in addition to quiet study space, while the upper floors are focused mainly on quiet study areas. On the first floor, you can find the Dr. Hua Wei Lee Center for International Collections, an impressive collection of research materials for half a dozen different international regions, including the Southeast Asia Collection, which is one of the largest collections of research materials on Southeast Asia and North America. Also on the first floor are the main offices for the Ohio University Press. Organized in 1964, Ohio University Press and its trade imprint Swallow Press is the oldest scholarly publisher in Ohio and is a leading publisher of books about Appalachia, the Midwest, Africa, and Southeast Asia. Ohio University Press titles are distributed worldwide, and many of its authors have won awards for excellence in writing. The second floor is home to the Learning Commons, and true to its name, it is the hub of academic activity. Here you can find students busy researching, studying, writing papers, and getting together to finish group projects. The Learning Commons is often open past midnight, a time when you can find industrious students enjoying the less populated study areas. Just next to the help desk is the Cafe Bibliothèque, a lively and relaxing place for students to unwind, recharge, and prepare for the next assignment. The Learning Commons also boasts numerous student resources. The Academic Achievement Center provides free tutoring, writing assistance, online learning navigation, and supplemental instruction. Located on the third floor is the Frederick and Kazuko Harris Fine Arts Library. Dedicated in 2004 to Fred and Kazuko Harris, the collection has vast holdings of finely printed books about the art of Japan and the East. Relying on books, periodicals, visual media, and electronic databases, the Fine Arts Library excels at aiding students in both research and artistic endeavors alike. The fourth and main floor of Alden is the Center for Special Events. Its spacious layout allows the university to honor guest lecturers and exceptional individuals, such as the Authors at Alden event, which has brought together staff, students, and bibliophiles to discuss the momentous accomplishments of some of Ohio University's most notable publications. The fifth floor showcases the Robert E. and Jean R. Mann Center for Archives and Special Collections, an expansive repository of rare books, manuscript collections, and Ohio University archives. While you're on the fifth floor, you may also want to check out the collection of World War II papers, conveniently located in the Cornelius Ryan Room, or Alden's extensive collection of government documents and maps, which calls back to 1886, when Ohio University Libraries first became a federal depository library for the 6th Congressional District. The fifth floor also has public use spaces that are more specialized than a standard study room. The George V. Voinovich Seminar Room is available to librarians and archivists working with research materials from the archive, and as an open quiet study area when not in use. Also available for use is the Meditation Room, a neutral space open to all for a quiet place to meditate, pray, or just take a moment and collect your thoughts. The 6th and 7th floors of Alden, commonly called the Stacks, have rows of books, reservable study carrels, and study tables located near windows to provide a relaxing and beautiful view of campus. Since the day its doors opened, Alden Library has fulfilled the Ohio University community's expectation of a cutting-edge research and learning hub with a plethora of accessible and updated materials. An incredible resource for students, a wonderful network for the community, and a proud representation of the university's dedication to its community, Alden Library serves as an anchor of the university libraries, which extends this wide array of resources across the entire Ohio University system, including its regional and extension campuses.
Okay, welcome back. Thank you. That was I didn't know, I was making some notes, actually, believe it or not, during that video. And Neil, maybe you can talk a little bit about this when I hand off to you. But some of the firsts that our library has been, the electronic online record, and I mean, those are things that, you know, I didn't have, even being here 3.5 years, I didn't realize that, you know, how kind of ahead of the game our library has been for a long time. And it's always great to see those. I'm sure those of you that have worked in libraries and been around them for a long time, it's always amazing to see those pictures and see how far we've come. But at the same time, I love that we've been able to capture that history and really, you know, how we've been an important part of, you know, not only here on campus, but libraries across the world with some of the things that we've done. So I'd love to hand it off to Neil Romanowski, who serves as our Dean of University Libraries. And Neil, maybe you could not only talk a little bit about Alden Library, but also our libraries across campus and across our regional campuses as well, and the impact that they have not only on our students, but across the world, as well as, you know, a little bit about yourself and how long you've been here, where you came from. And I will hand it off to you. So, Neil.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nico. And it's really wonderful to be here today. I just want to start by thanking you and the Alumni Association for this great opportunity to celebrate and reflect on Alden Library and all that it means to Ohio students, faculty, staff, and the Athens community. I also want to make sure I thank my fellow panelists for participating today, and to everyone joining the call today, wishing you a happy homecoming from the University Libraries. Indeed, Alden and the University Libraries have had some notable firsts. That first electronic cataloging record is certainly one that changed the way information is shared across the world to this day. So we're very proud of that. I believe our Learning Commons on the second floor, which you saw in the video, was also one of the first of its kind in North America, if not the first. Really ahead of the wave on that. And so we're exceptionally proud of our heritage and the many directions that the libraries are going in to this day. So I've been with the university as Dean of University Libraries since fall of 2019. Previously, I was at the University of Toronto as Associate Chief of the Library System there, and I held previous positions at New York University and Columbia University Libraries. I'm delighted to be here at Ohio. People often say the library is at the heart of the university, and since arriving here in 2019, I've found that to be absolutely true of the Ohio University libraries, and especially true about Alden Library, one of the busiest buildings on the Athens campus, and truly a beating heart of learning, research, and community within the university. Since it opened, and as we saw in the video, Alden has come to mean many different things to the thousands of people who pass through its doors. It's a place to study quietly or collaboratively with friends, a treasure trove really of information and rare and special collections. It's been a vibrant work environment for generations, staff and students who work with us, and an active center of the university and community life in which people connect and knowledge is catalyzed. So we're at the libraries, we're really proud of the heritage of Alden Library and the many great ideas and accomplishments that got their start here for the university. And we're also grateful for the continued support of our many generous donors over the years and presently, which has enabled us to grow and evolve with the needs of our students and faculty. So today, Alden is the anchor of the Ohio University Library System, which may be a bit different than when some of our guests today were on campus here at the university. So our libraries are a member of the very prestigious Association of Research Libraries, which is the top 115 or so largest research libraries in North America. So in addition to Alden, our libraries include the Music and Dance Library in Glidden Hall, libraries on each of our 5 regional campuses, and the Waway-Lee Library Annex, which is a high-density book storage facility on Columbus Road here in Athens, and that houses hundreds of thousands of print materials and is part of a statewide network of those kinds of facilities. So as we saw in the video, the library's incredibly rich and diverse electronic collections, which include books, journals, photography, video, audio, all kinds of things, are available online 24/7 to all of our users. And many of those collections, both of our collections, both print and digital, support research and learning globally as students and researchers access those collections through interlibrary loan and in some cases freely through our website. And while our librarians and staff still assist students and faculty regularly here in Alden and in other library facilities, we also offer lots of options now to create that sense of place that comes along with the libraries by connecting virtually via chat, email, video conference like we are today. So in so many ways now, the libraries really are able to help our users wherever they happen to be. But indeed, and along with the theme we're talking about here today, offering vibrant physical spaces where students can study, access technology, and use library resources remains a vital part of what we do. Alden Library is a premier example of that work. So over the past, say, 20 years or so, libraries like Alden have really been shifting in focus and how we primarily think about them, from being warehouses of things and collections, which of course they still are, an important part of what we do, but to really being a place, a vital center for people, for students, faculty, staff, community members to learn, to research, and connect with one another. So that evolution here at Alden has played out in a variety of ways. We saw some examples of that in the video, like the Learning Commons on our second floor and how we've repurposed big swaths of spaces. But those changes also happen throughout the building in smaller but very important ways, like bringing more power to more seats in the library so that our users can power up their devices to do their work, offering different kinds of zones for noise levels throughout the library. So it used to be you had to be quiet everywhere in the library. It's not the case anymore. We have areas for silent study for sure, but also more conversational and group study places as well. And vitally, making sure that our spaces create a sense of belonging for our increasingly diverse student and user body here at the university. So, but certainly our spaces also keep up with changes in technology. So just as one example, this year in Alden, we introduced a one-button studio, which is a space with sound and video recording equipment that faculty, staff, and students can use to record themselves, delivering lectures, presentations, and other materials just with the press of one button. So, it was a brief overview there, but so while Alden, we've in many ways changed dramatically in response to user needs over the decades since it opened in 1969. As a facility, I believe it really does remain at the heart of the university, and it's as busy and as vital as it's ever been. So I look forward to hearing my fellow panelists' perspectives on that this afternoon. So In that vein, it's my pleasure to introduce my colleague, Janet Carlton. Janet's the Digital Initiatives Coordinator in the library's Mon Center for Archives and Special Collections and Preservation and Digital Initiatives. And Janet is an alumna of Ohio, having earned her bachelor's degrees in history and art history here. And she has a master's in library science from the University of Texas at Austin and a postmaster's certificate in curation and management of digital assets from the University of Maryland. So over to you, Janet.
Thank you. I'm so pleased to be here and share my memories and experiences, both as an undergraduate Bobcat and also as a longtime staff member. I was, as Neil mentioned, I was an undergraduate. I was here from 1988 to 1993, and maybe I overlapped with some of you all. It was a great time. As a student worker, I worked in several different departments in the libraries. I worked in fine arts, health sciences, and most of all, the Mon Center for Archives and Special Collections. I'm an archivist, which is a little different than being a librarian. Archivists preserve and provide access to the recorded records of people and institutions that document and tell our history. If we don't have our records, we don't have our history. After OU, I ran down to Texas for grad school and then came back and worked in the state archives of Ohio. I was having a great time there and I wasn't ready to leave, but then I heard there's a new position opening up at OU in the Mon Center. So I had to try for it. I began working at that job in 1998, and I've been here ever since. And my work is providing free and open access to our unique, one-of-a-kind resources, things like university history, records, digitizing them, preserving them, providing access and promoting them through social media. And that includes some of the historical images that you saw in the video. And also, I have to say, I see Peter Goss in the audience, and that includes his 1960 photos that have proved very popular on social media, and also alumna Lynn Johnson. So that is pretty awesome. I did want to speak briefly to service, that the libraries, as a staff member, the libraries is really known for supporting its staff and service opportunities. Serving the profession, serving the preservation of cultural heritage, working with community groups, working with professional organizations. And one example is I happen to serve on the State Library of Ohio board, which supports libraries of the state, particularly the public. It redistributes federal grant funds and many other wonderful programs. I don't want to take too much time because there's a lot of people after me. I have some little anecdotes maybe later if we have time of being a student in the stacks and how much I loved being able to use the libraries for studying. But I want to introduce our next speaker, who is Faustina Mensah, who is a fourth-year international graduate student from Ghana, pursuing a doctorate in higher ed and student affairs and a master's in educational research and evaluation. She's also, and best of all, one of the students who serve on the Students' Library Board.
Yes, thank you so much, Janet, and thank you everyone for making time to be with us today. So as already introduced, I'm an international student, and I love to say I'm a non-traditional graduate student because I am a bit late age-wise in school, but I chose Ohio University because the higher education and student affairs program, PhD program actually was the best fit for my academic and professional goals. Ohio University has become my home, and I'll forever cherish the memories because it has given me the opportunity to find my path to self-discovery. I have always been a self-sufficient person, but when I started my graduate program here, I found myself struggling to find relevant academic materials to complete my writing assignments. The library has been my constant academic companion for the past 4 years, and it's had a positive impact on my well-being. So the cost of books used in most classes are current editions, and so they're extremely expensive. The reality is that for most graduate students like myself, we have close to no money to live on after we pay our fees, our rent, and our utilities. So speaking to what was shown in the introductory video, I have utilized almost every possible resource in the library, from borrowing books to the study spaces, to connecting with my peers and also engaging our subject librarians. Most importantly, the African Students Union, we meet weekly in Alden Library, so it has a special place in my heart. But for 4 years and counting, I rely on the bus system. And so mobility is a challenge for me. I'm also a nocturnal learner. So leaving home at night might not always be my best option. But what I appreciate most about Alden Library is that we have it on our laptops. What I mean by that is we can access the resources remotely, which is more than amazing. It's a whole different experience and feeling when you find an article through Google Scholar and you need to pay a rental fee of $45 to access one article. And then you search it through Article Plus and you find the full text for free. I don't know if you know what that feeling is, but it's a good feeling for any student. And it's the same with books, like whether it is through Alice or HioLink or the Interlibrary Loan Service, it honestly goes a long way to boost the progress we make with academic pursuits. And I believe I have downloaded more than 100 articles in the past 4 years, so you can do the math. To touch a bit on our subject librarians, they have been my academic lifesavers. I am constantly encouraging my peers to make the most of this resource because the questions they ask us during sessions have helped me sharpen my thoughts about any research assignment, and the relief I get after meeting with them because they resolve my problem and my woes finding articles is indescribable. I believe I can write a bestseller about our subject librarians. And finally, even though this may sound academically unrelated, but in instances where I have found myself out late on campus, especially after midnight, and during the cold seasons, the library has been my holding and safe space for 3 reasons. The location, 2, most of the buildings on campus have restricted access, and it's hardly to find anybody in there when you're out after 3 in the morning. And so anytime I feel scared, I go to the library because it's never the case of you feeling lonely, and I stay there till morning. So you may not think about it, but yes, it is the safest space for me to go when I'm out alone. And so I would want to wrap up by saying a very big thank you to our Dean Neil, our amazing library staff, and our alumni who continue to support the library. Thank you for placing students at the center of our library operations. For those of you who didn't know, our library continued to provide the needed academic support for students even when everything shut down during COVID. Majority of international students like myself, we had nowhere to go. And so we were here in Athens. And I remember feeling so cared for the day I walked into the library to pick up the books I had requested. I could feel the dedication and thoughtfulness that had gone into creating the no contact pickup service. It may sound little, but most times it is the little things that make the biggest impact. So thank you once again and happy homecoming.
Faustina, thank you so much. Really amazing to hear a student's perspective, and really appreciate you joining us and coming to Ohio University and experiencing all that we have to offer. And I'm glad it's been a positive experience so far, and wish you the best with your continued studies and visiting Alden at 3 in the morning. And it's really amazing. And I give you a lot of credit for everything you've accomplished to this point. So congratulations and thanks again for joining us. And Neil and Janet, thank you again for giving your perspectives. We really appreciate it. We'll, always grateful to hear that the 3 of you is just a great combination of different perspectives in the library. So thanks for that time. So Now I'm pleased to introduce our next panelist, Dr. Ann Fiddler. Ann is the scholar in residence at the Mons Center for Archives and Special Collections. Ann, you've been here for many years. I think have a very unique perspective on the role that the university libraries play on campus. And we'd love to hear a little bit about both your background experience and your thoughts here on Alden and everything we have to offer. So I will hand it off to you.
Thank you, Nico. As Nico mentioned, I am fortunate to be the scholar in residence at the Mons Center for Archives and Special Collections. This is a courtesy appointment, which is tied to my current project, which is a biography of Manasseh Cutler. And most of you with Ohio University ties have heard of Dr. Cutler. I call him Manasseh. He was a Massachusetts polymath born in 1742, who, as part of his participation in the colonization of what we now call southeastern Ohio, envisioned this place that we call Ohio University. I have some advice for those of you who are thinking about writing a biography of a polymath. Don't do it unless you have an amazing library filled with fabulous staff members. And that is what I have here at the Mons Center and at Alden Library writ large. Many years ago, when I was working in Cutler Hall, I commissioned a number of individuals to write essays about sense of place at the university and in the region, because I feel like that is one of the most important characteristics of this institution, and also all of the places that surround us, a sense of place. So from this, you can infer that, I'm very interested in the topic of sense of place. But in October of 2021, it's probably an interesting issue to talk about how the place of places are now challenged by a world that moves digitally. But I would say that for me, Alden Library still has that power of place. And it's done a really remarkable thing that I don't think we talk enough about. Alden Library has absorbed the digital world. It has not been absorbed by the digital world. So you might say, how is this possible? Well, this brings me to the obscure science of library physics. Alden Library can absorb the digital world because it is the center of gravity for Ohio University. A center of gravity is a place where the weight of a thing is concentrated. And the library is where the university keeps its atoms of understanding, knowledge, and creativity. And there are millions upon billions of atoms in Alden Library and in the libraries of the regional campuses. And they are tended to by the staff members that we've heard a little bit about so far. Staff members who specialize, generalize, or do a bit of both. They know how to capture and arrange those atoms, and they do this far better than the internet because they don't operate by algorithms. They have experience, curiosity, and a genuine excitement about opening pathways for research and creative activity for faculty members and for students. So I'll give you an example. It's one of many that I could give you of how the staff at Alden Library does this amazing work. So in December of 2020, I got an email from Bill Kimmock, who is our wonderful university archivist. So during the time that the Mons Center, during the pandemic, the Mons Center was closed. You couldn't go there physically for obvious reasons. So what the staff did, they would be rotating in and out of the center, doing various tasks that normally they don't have time to take care of necessarily because they're working one-on-one with patrons. So Bill had been sorting through various boxes that had been on shelves that somebody at some point in time had put some artifacts in. And in the process, he rediscovered a silver cream pitcher that belonged to Manasseh Cutler. It had been donated to the library by Manasseh Cutler's great-great-grandson, Charles Gates Dawes. So Bill alerted me to this find, and I had a splendid time studying the photographs that he sent me and delving into the history of the little pitcher. Turned out it was mentioned in the inventory that was compiled at Manasseh's death. And it is the most valuable household item that he possessed at the time of his death. The thing, though, that I like the most about it is that it is engraved with a P, and the P stands for Polly. Polly was Manasseh Cutler's wife, and she is still somewhat of a shadowy figure for me as I'm doing my research. So it helps as I try to piece things together about Manasseh and his family that I know about this pitcher. And the one thought that I had immediately was Manasseh didn't like to spend money except on scientific instruments. So it's significant that he bought this expensive little pitcher for Polly. And it's a clue that I'm going to be able to use as continue research and thinking about this family. So Bill knew that this pitcher would speak to me in a significant way, and he was correct. So that's just one example of many about how the staff at this university's center of gravity makes it possible for Alden Library to continue to be a place and to continue to have a sense of place. So that's my spiel for today, and I want to turn it over to Natasha Simons, who is one of the most important people on this panel. She is an undergraduate student, and she is part of the library student staff.
Thank you, Dr. Fiddler, for that introduction, and I am very excited to be here with everyone today. So I am a classics major with a minor in political science. And after I graduate this spring, I will be going on to grad school to become an academic librarian. I actually started out as a nursing student my freshman year, but realized that that wasn't what I wanted to do. And since I've been studying in my current major, I have loved all my classes and all of the analytic skills that I have gained. Before I get into how Alden Library inspired a library career path for me, I want to talk about how the library has supported me academically. So like many students, I've used the library spaces for studying and group studying, but I've also received academic help from the library in other ways. I remember freshman year when I needed to print my syllabuses, but I had no idea how to use the printers. I went to a librarian on the 4th floor, and she gave me one-on-one attention until I felt comfortable that I knew how to do it. I also went to the library to get help with scheduling after I changed my major freshman year and I didn't have a new advisor yet that could help me. And I've also had classes that we have spent in the library looking at books from the special collections, and it's so cool getting to see firsthand what we are studying used to look like, such as looking at Latin manuscripts or pages of old Bibles. It really puts it in perspective, which is really awesome. Okay, so now back to how the library has inspired my career path. So I started working at the library in the fall of my freshman year while I was still struggling to figure out what my path was. Over the next 2 years at the library, I got to work with some amazing librarians and develop a whole new set of skills, from researching in databases, finding books in the stacks, working in Excel spreadsheets, editing LibGuides, and even simple things like how to send emails that are professional but still friendly. These skills I was developing were not only helping me be better at my job, but also helping me be a better student as well. I always felt like my input was important and that I wasn't just being treated as a student, but a member of the library family. I was also really proud of all the work I was doing for the library, and I was getting more confident every time I got a new project, just diving into it and figuring it out. So towards the end of my sophomore year, I decided that this is what I wanted to keep doing. I wanted to keep working in the library and building those skills, as well as bring my own new ideas to the table. Since making that decision, my supervisor, Hannah Mellon, she's awesome, has been so supportive and helpful with giving me advice, as well as letting me even come up with some of my own projects and share my ideas from my perspective as a student, which has been so amazing. And I know that, a lot of times when applying to grad schools or jobs, the biggest thing is experience. And the experience that I've been able to get at the library and everyone I've been able to work with and the projects has just been amazing. I can't think of anywhere else that would give this kind of opportunity. So that's my story, and this is what the library means to me. And again, I want to thank everyone for having me here today.
Natasha, thanks so much for that perspective. And I think a common theme, again, I was taking notes, what you talked about and what Faustina talked about was your relationship with the librarians and the difference that they've made for you in the work and your studies. And I think probably unsung heroes of many of our students are what these librarians are able to provide. And hearing both of you talk about that separately, how a librarian has made a difference and helped you is really special to hear. So thanks for sharing that, and wish you luck as you graduate here in the spring and move on to grad school. And I think the best part was your seamless muting of your phone as it started vibrating. It was perfectly done. So you are set for a career on moving forward with Zoom calls, that you're able to do that without missing a beat. So I think the joys that we all experience as we're doing Zoom calls, but really wish you luck, and it's a great story. Thank you for sharing it. And Ann, I actually wrote that you were on a first name basis with Manasseh Cutler, so I think I'm going to use that in the future. I like that that's how you refer to it. So thank you for your input as well. And again, thank you everybody for joining us. I know we're coming up on 1 o'clock. I do want to hand this off to Neil to offer any closing comments. Again, if there's anything you'd like to add in the chat, any questions that you have here, we'll give you one last chance to share anything. And again, thank you to all our panelists, our students, our staff for contributing. Again, thank you to our University Advancement Donor Engagement and Events team for putting this together, to University Communications and Marketing for that video. Really grateful for everybody being part of this today. So with that, I will hand it off to Neil for some closing comments, and everyone be safe. Be well, and please come join us if you're able to during homecoming week. Neil?
Thanks, Nico. And I don't know, speaking of Cutler, I just had a chime from Cutler Hall in the background there to take us out. Wow, I just want to say thank you again, everyone, for participating today, and for everyone in the audience for coming. I'm exceptionally energized and moved genuinely by the stories that I've been hearing today. Just hearing the library is described as a constant companion, a place of safety, center of gravity, and a place where you can find your path. And Natasha, it's just wonderful that you are going to embark on a career, and we look forward to joining you and welcoming you to the ranks of our profession. And a shout out to our wonderful, wonderful staff who do make so many things possible for the university community. Just want to thank you all again for joining us today, and wish you all a happy homecoming, and stay safe and be well. Thank you, everyone.